Scream is the fifth installment of the 25-year franchise and 11 years following their last installment, Scream 4. And this is the first Scream film in the entire franchise not directed by Wes Craven. The new cast is Melissa Barrera, Jenna Ortega, Dylan Minnette, Jack Quaid, Jasmine Savoy Brown, Mikey Madison, Mason Gooding, and the returning cast of all 5 films, Nev Campbell, Courtney Cox, and David Arquette. The film is an hour 54, rated R, and it's about 25 years after the original murders in Woodsboro. A new Ghostface emerges, and brought back into the town is Sam, played by Melissa Barrera, who left the town and she has some dark secrets that Ghostface needs to reveal. Welcome back to a brand new non-spoiler movie review here on Mac Talk Movies. We're talking Scream, highly anticipated film for a lot of us Scream fans. So if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, ring the bell. That's the best way to support this channel. I do movie reviews, TV show reviews, movie rankings, and box office breakdown shows. So can't wait to talk about Scream, not just today, but also on Monday. Hopefully this movie does well at the box office. Also comment down below, leave me your ranking of the Scream franchise if you have seen, even if you have not or have seen this film yet. And this film is exclusively in theaters. Let me know if you're going to check it out this weekend. And did you like it? Did you not like it? Let me know in the comment section down below. Also like the video, the thumbs up button. That's how you support this channel. So I'm going to be my expectations, my likes, my negatives, my positives, my negatives, then my score. So my expectations were kind of mixed with this movie. When Scream kind of got released, it felt like it was actually time to go back into this franchise. Yes, it was 11 years since Scream 4 in 2011. But there's just so much more horror cliches, different types of horror films that have come out in the last 25 years that can really add to the meta aspect of the Scream franchise. So that for me was definitely one of the things I was excited for as well. But it was kind of a mixed bag because I saw the trailer. I was like, this doesn't really look good. Then January release date came out January 14th today. And that is always a red flag. I literally talked about this last week with the first film of the year, the 355, that lived up to its January release date expectation. But most times, as I said in my last video, if you're not familiar, if you're not a big movie person, January usually is the dumping ground of bad movies. This is movies where none of them really are supposed to be good. That's kind of changed in the last 4 or 5 years, but it's still an expectation that's valid to have. Especially with a franchise that's going through basically a requel, kind of a reboot with a lot of new characters, but a lot, of course, all of these legacy characters coming back. So very mixed. But I was also hearing some great stuff from the critics. It's at like a 75% on Rotten Tomatoes. So that got me excited. So let's talk about this film. Non-spoilers, don't worry. None of the twists and turns of the usual Scream films I will talk about here in this film. If you want a spoiler breakdown of Scream, I would love to hear your thoughts and let me know if you want to see that in a future video. I'll be happy to. I just need your guys' support to do it. So let's talk about Scream 2022 or Scream 5. So I want to say this first. I am so shocked about how much I genuinely really like this movie. This is just like the 4 films, a breeze of a 2-hour runtime. It's actually an hour 54. Breeze of a 1 hour 54 runtime that keeps you thinking, very meta, really great kills, some funny jokes, and characters that you care about. It's everything you kind of want, in my opinion, in a Scream film. And it's tough because the first film is such a horror classic from Wes Craven, seen as one of the greatest slasher film, really one of the kickstarters of today's slasher genre. Obviously inspired by films like Psycho and Halloween, but it's seen as one of the best slasher films of all time, some of the best twists and turns in a horror film of all time, and characters that have spanned now 25 years since 1996, where Nev Campbell, Courtney Cox, and David Arquette all made their debuts in the franchise. I actually just rewatched Scream, the original Scream, last night heading into this film to get ready. I would say this, if you've never seen a Scream film, I guess you can enjoy it, but it really rewards you for watching all 4 films previously, especially if you just watched the original. Yes, there's a lot of missing pieces, but it is really, if you watch all 4 films, there's a lot of callbacks and a lot of inside stuff that you need to know, especially that Scream itself is also in a franchise in itself because Courtney Cox Gail Weathers at the end of the first film writes a book about the events of the first film, where that becomes a franchise called Stab in the Scream universe. It's a very meta thing, and that is really in this film as well. So overall, what I really liked about this film is that it did a great job, in my opinion, for the most part, balancing the young cast and the legacy cast. I'll get to some of the negatives with that in a sec, but the best part of the film, shockingly, is the new cast. Normally in a film like this, you're kind of saying, well, the new cast isn't really that good, and the legacy cast is what we came here for. Now, yes, you did come here to see the big three. They're not as much on screen as I definitely thought, especially a couple of the characters, which I'll get to in a sec. But the main cast, which is the new cast, do a really fantastic job. I think some of the best performances of the film for me, Jenna Ortega, who I really liked in The Babysitter 2. She's been popping up in a lot of things as of late. She plays Melissa Barrera's younger sister, Tara. She's definitely my favorite of the new characters. It's a really great performance. I don't want to get into spoilers or anything with her, but Tara has a lot more to do than I thought. And Jenna Ortega really gives an authentic stuff even when she's injured. It's a really genuine performance. And for me, she was my favorite part of the movie, performance-wise and character-wise. Really love Tara and Jenna Ortega. Some of the other cast also does a great job. There's twins in the film, played by Jasmine Savoy Brown and Mason Gooding, are both fantastic in the film as well, especially, really they're both are, but Jasmine Savoy Brown is kind of the exposition, kind of like the Randy Meeks of this film, where she kind of breaks down how this is kind of a requel. And she kind of breaks down to the friends what's kind of going on and who possibly could be the killer. She's really good in the movie, and so is Mason Gooding. Their chemistry is great. Melissa Barrera, who's coming off of her breakthrough performance last year in The Heights, she's also solid in the film as well. And she has a dark secret that has brought her back to the town after she left the town 5 years ago. And the Ghostface wants to unveil that secret. So her character has a lot to do and a lot of callbacks. Now, as I said, you really need to, if you want to care about this movie, have an emotional attachment, you do have to see all 4 films, at least the first 2, I'd probably say. Really all of them, because it really takes you where Neve Campbell is as a person, really all the 3 main characters. But there's so many callbacks. The film also is really, really funny as well. Sorry, Jack Quaid is also in the film. But it's a really funny film at times. But this is also some of the best kills of the entire franchise. The benefit of being 25 years later is that the gore has kind of gone up. And Wes Craven has even said in documentaries and books how limited he was in the gore factor back in 1996, making the first one to make it a rated R film. These days, gore is a thing. And this movie has a lot of not just over repulsive or repulsive gore. It's actually gore that fits the movie, and the gore is really good. The kills are fantastic. There has some really inventive kills with Ghostface, and they use Ghostface really well. It's a different type of killer than we've ever gotten before in the franchise. The best part of the returning cast is by far Dewey Riley, of course, played by David Arquette. He has gone through a lot in this franchise. He even jokes that he's like, I've been stabbed 9 times, kind of joking around, but he is kind of the first person to jump on board with the young cast trying to save the day, but he's kind of going through a lot. He's broken up with Gail Weathers. He's retired from being a cop, and he's trying to reignite him. He's really fantastic and right back to form for David Arquette, who really in the first film was not one of my standout characters, but in this film, he's the best part by a lot from the legacy big 3. I mean, he definitely also has by far the most to do out of the legacy 3. Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox are fine, but they're very minor roles. Neve Campbell's really, I think, better than Courtney Cox. Has some really off dialogue and some really bad at times line delivery, but of course, they're both fun to see back on screen. And seeing the 3 of them together is always great to see. As I said, the gores, it's really dangerous, and as all Scream films do, you really are guessing throughout the entire film who are the killer or killers. You can put guesses, but what these films do great is they make everyone a suspect, and they give you a reason why each person in the film, main characters, could be the killer. And that kind of leads to some really solid twists and turns that I really did not see coming. Let's get into some of the negatives that I had. At times there was, I think, like 1 or 2 performances that kind of just, it's not the actor's fault. It feels like they're just trying to reenact what a former character in this franchise was. It kind of became a bit too distracting. There's also one kill sequence in the film in the second act that kind of goes on forever. There's a little too many false jump scares in the film. It kind of gets old. when it happens at first, you're like, oh, I can see how in the original Scream film that was a jump scare, but in this film, it's not a jump scare. The first, I would say 2 times that happens, it actually kind of works. And in one scene, it happens like 4 or 5 times, a false jump scare. And this one like 15-minute long kill sequence, it got a bit old. And throughout the film, they do use a lot of false jump scares. And that also gets quite old. As I said, I really didn't really love the villains, the villain or villains of the entire film. I don't want to get into that because that's spoilers and the twists and all that stuff. But some of the performances were not super strong. As I said, the villains kind of felt like they were reenacting something else, which is, I think it's more direction oriented. And there's a huge, again, I'm not going to get into that because that is spoiler. I wish Neve Campbell and Courtney Cox had more to do. As I said, David Arquette has plenty to do in this film, but Neve Campbell kind of has one scene in the first act, and then she kind of joins the party in the last 30, 45 minutes. And I get the same thing about Courtney Cox. She also has a line delivery in this film that is really poor. And out of all the 3 characters, Gale Weathers, played by Courtney Cox, literally feels like has nothing to do. And sometimes it feels like they're just in the film because they're the legacy characters. They don't add too much deeper into the story, especially Sydney and Gale. But it's always, again, it's not bad to see Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox back. It just feels like they should have had more to do if they're going to be back because they are very limited in the film. But overall, I had a really good time with Scream, Scream 2022. I was expecting really negative things heading in. The fact that it's releasing in January, a franchise that's been gone for 11 years. How can you spark a genius idea back in 1996? And I think they did. This is definitely one of the best Scream sequels out there. And I'm totally down for this franchise to continue because they have a bunch of young characters mixed in with the legacy characters that you could see this franchise continue on. I had a really fun time, really loved most of the characters in the film, really great ensemble, great kills, and a fun 2 hours in the theater. I'm going to give Scream 2022 a 4 out of 5 stars. I am going to go 78% for Scream 2022. I generally had a great time with this movie, a really good movie, wanted to love it, couldn't quite get there, but I still thought for what my expectations were, this really blew all my expectations out of the water. So that's my thoughts on Scream 2022. Let me know your thoughts, non-spoiler, in the comment section down below. If you want me to talk spoilers, I need enough people, a lot of people, to comment down below and say, Max, do a spoiler breakdown. I want to hear your thoughts. I'll definitely make a video if you guys are interested. Also, I've already done 3 other movie reviews that have come out so far in the year 2022. Actually, 2 others, the 355 and the Tender Bar. And coming this weekend, you should be getting reviews of Hotel Transylvania 4 and The Tragedy of Macbeth. So a lot of other reviews are coming out. Busy way to start 2022, and I'll see you guys soon.